Steelers tight end Pat Freiermuth has talked about his new quarterback Russell Wilson, who arranged a throwing session with him and new Steelers receiver Van Jefferson. Freiermuth said he's also excited about, well, both Wilson and Justin Fields, who he said he's heard nothing but great things about, and he was singing the praises of Russ. Take a listen to Freiermuth on the podcast.
I was just down there in San Diego with him working out and throwing routes and stuff, and so he's been great at talking to guys and starting to build that connection. And he's a great guy. You can tell like the drive and determination that he has to win and come to Pittsburgh and win some playoff games for us, so which is always great to be a part of. And I think he's going to fit our culture and our locker room really well.
All right, so that's all fine and well right now. Then we have to take the field. Dan, Mina, and Graz here to break it down. Dana, what part of Wilson's skill set do you think works best with Arthur Smith's offense?
Yeah, the play-action pass game, being under center, and then the willingness and capability of throwing the ball downfield. I mean, for everything that Russell Wilson has not been over the past couple seasons, he still is really good at that. And that's kind of been the calling card of who he's always been as a player. But here's the thing for Pittsburgh when it comes to Russell Wilson. We've talked about this. I do think, number one, it's unrealistic to expect him to change. Two, they have to add a wide receiver outside of George Pickens because until George proves that he's totally capable of becoming a number one receiver, they need another guy. Specific to Russell Wilson, MK, if Russell Wilson, as a play caller, as an offensive play caller, when you are a play-action passing offense, the only way it works is if when you call the play and it's not there, the quarterback checks it down consistently. That's the only way it works. If it doesn't, you're constantly behind, and then the play action isn't as effective. So Russell is going to have to be committed to just, hey, I want to be aggressive, and I want to play to that style. And if it's not there all the time, he's got to take checkdowns more than he has, certainly in the course of his career.
Mina, do you have any doubt on that he's going to do that? I mean, this is a guy who has 104 touchdowns on play action in his career.
I mean, I think he's going to do the things that Dan said he does well, throw the ball deep, especially off of play action. I don't think at this point in the career he's going to speed up his style of play and suddenly start throwing over the middle of the field. But neither will. I mean, well, actually, I don't want to be predictive here. The same issue applies to his competitor, Justin Fields. And I think whether or not Fields manages to take his job will, in a large way, come down to whether or not he can speed up his play and get the ball out quickly and check it down.
By the way, they both had the longest time before pass in the NFL last season. I mean, they were 1 and 2 right there. So that's something else they have in common. And Graz, there's been a lot of chatter about to what extent is this actually going to be a quarterback competition in camp? What are you hearing?
Well, I think it will be, Hannah, and I think you heard Mike Tomlin say in that clip that we played at the beginning of this segment, he said when it comes time to compete, Justin will get a chance to show what he can do. At this point, it's the offseason. Their offseason program doesn't even start for another week, so there hasn't really been an opportunity to have a competition. But I don't think there's any doubt in anyone's mind that if Justin Fields can show advancement and improvement in the areas that Mina was just referring to, and if Russell Wilson doesn't and starts to frustrate the coaching staff the way he did in Denver and then at the end in Seattle, that it's possible Justin Fields could overtake him. Just look at the contract. Russell Wilson is getting a minimum salary deal from the Pittsburgh Steelers. That doesn't even guarantee you a spot on the roster. So certainly Wilson will have to play well to hold off Justin Fields in camp.
I mean, they didn't give up very much for Justin Fields either. So, you know, kudos to the Steelers for how they got that new quarterback room for, you know, next to nothing there. And here's a look at how their draft stacks up. They have 7 picks, including 2 in the 3rd round. They have needs at center, at offensive tackle. Dan mentioned it, wide receiver. Matt Miller has them taking Oregon center Jackson Powers Johnson with their 1st round pick to address that need at number 20. Mina, what do you think they should do?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with Matt's assessment of the needs. I would also, actually, he does have cornerback there, yeah, so that's a need too. I think, though, while wide receiver is obviously a gaping hole, Dan hit on it with the questions around Pickens and obviously the loss of Deontay Johnson, the way this draft looks now, the type of wide receiver that I think they need, someone who's a good route runner, maybe shiftier, can work underneath, move the chains. They can get a player like that later in the draft. So I wouldn't be surprised if they, at 20, assuming they stay there, focus on the offensive line. In addition to Jackson Power-Johnson, who's a center I really like out of Oregon, there might be offensive tackles available to them, like J.C. Latham out of Alabama, Marius Mims out of Georgia. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go in that direction. And obviously, protecting these quarterbacks, given how long they hold on to the football, both of them had the longest and second longest time to throw last year, is paramount.